For those of you that don't know me, my name is Beth Hicks. I'm the Managing Director of Marketing for the Design Center at the Merchandise Mart in Chicago. And we welcome you all here today for Thrive and Grow in Trying Times. So we're here with a casual chat with three amazing designers in the Chicago area, Nora Schneider, Jenna, Wedemeyer, and Erin, Shakoor. And they're gracious enough to offer their time today to answer some questions to see how they're managing their own design business during this time, and why they're staying positive and optimistic about the future. So with that, I'm going to let our panel introduce. Let me grab them all here. So they are all here. Welcome, ladies. So I'm going to let them each introduce themselves just for a few minutes to kind of give you an introduction to their style and introduce themselves. So with that, I will start with Nora. Welcome, Nora.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here. So a little bit about myself and my firm. Nora Schneider Interior Design is a full-service design firm based in Chicago, but feel like the world is our oyster, so we're happy to go anywhere to work or play. We began our business 20 years ago, so we've been in business for 20 years, and we focus on residential projects. And usually have maybe 5 to 8, maybe even 10 going simultaneously. I love clean modern lines and mixing it up with antiques and pieces with patina. Color is really our jam, and we like art to be play a big role in every project that we do. And so we really thrive on creating sophisticated and uncluttered spaces. I really treasure my relationship with all of my clients, but I especially love being part of this big, generous, extended Chicago design community, and I really miss everybody. Jenna?
Yeah.
Great.
Hi. I actually thought I would tell you a little bit about my background and how I came to interior design, which is through the fashion industry. And for about the last 13 years, I've had my own business, Jenna Wedemeyer Design, here in Chicago. And I also do projects all over the country. But I've really pretty much taught myself design through on-the-job training, and something else that's very, very important to me and to the two girls that are here on the panel with me, an organization that Nora and I started about 10 years ago called Interior Design Peer Alliance, IDPA. And it is a peer group of interior designers that support and mentor and just help each other through thick and thin. So that has also been a huge factor in me growing my business and growing my talent. I would say my initial work started out probably like all of ours has, with small projects and rooms and parts of houses. And over the last 10 years, it's grown, and I feel very, very, very fortunate that in the last couple of years, I feel like I've hit my stride and been published and gotten whole house projects. And I last year made the Luxe magazine gold list, which was really exciting for me. So I feel very grateful, and I'm thrilled to be here and part of this panel. So thank you for having me. Erin?
Cool.
Erin?
So thank you, Beth and Margaret and the Mart, for bringing us to the forefront like this and asking us to participate in this process of helping people get through this unusual situation. So I really appreciate that and appreciate the opportunity to be sharing best practices, etc. We're also a full service interior design firm. Shakoor Interiors is almost 19 years old. And I come from a background of fine art that transitioned into teaching and then transitioned into interior design. And like Jenna, which I was surprised to hear, maybe the last 5 years, 4 or 5 years, I feel like I've really kind of like hit a place where I feel really good and strong in the focus that we have, which is serving other creatives, musicians, fashion designers, comedians, actors, as well as art collectors. And generally clients come to us because they love the way we handle color I always tell people that friends don't let friends live in beige houses. So that gets the conversation started often. And we're often talking about color and how we're gonna like make it beautiful, amazing for them. And I should also add that I like personally to design spaces that look like they've been developing over a period of time versus something that looks very kind of perfectly manicured, like a designer walked in and waved their magic wand, so to speak. So that's our thing.
Great. Thank you, ladies. We're happy to have you here. So let's kick it off. We got a lot of great questions when all the attendees registered. So we've compiled those. We'll start with those. Again, there's a Q&A icon down at the bottom. Feel free to submit your questions. If they're not part of the questions we've already received, we will tackle those as well, depending on time. So to just kick it off, and maybe Nora, we'll start with you. How do you connect with clients in an authentic way that builds relationships and doesn't sound too salesy? Like, how do you start cultivating that relationship with potential clients?
With potential clients, you know, I really think that's the easy part for me. You know, I was thinking that it was like during this time that the question was, and so I think key is to be yourself. You know, and especially how I've acted during this whole drama that we've all been living through is reaching out to our clients, asking how they're coping with it, share stories of my own in a really personal and positive way. And I to a person, each one has written back with talking about how happy they are that they're living in a space that was created just for them, and that they're happy to be there, and they're reacting with gratitude, I feel like, and not fear, which I think is key for all of us.
Yeah.
During this time is to really be grateful for what we have and not fear of the unknown. And I continue to stay in touch weekly or whenever feels appropriate. I've even suggested a couple of DIY projects, which is not usually my thing, but one client in particular had talked about having they always wanted me to do a gallery wall with them for family photos. And I said, this is the perfect time to gather your family photos. I sent them links to some frames I was suggesting, and also some sketches about put it together like this. So, but with the start of any relationship with a client, I think it's key to communicate, be open. I always talk about that, you know, a relationship with your interior designer is different than with any other professional in your life. It's really more personal. So it's key to be open, be yourself, and be honest and communicate. And I urge them to do the same.
Great, thanks, Nora. So do you guys have any tips or anecdotes then on cultivating new business while socially distancing? Certainly you've talked about tapping into some of your current clients and those current relationships that you have, but now that we are socially distancing, how can we cultivate new business? Any kind of tips on that, Erin?
So I would say what we've been doing is we started a newsletter, finally. That's something that was supposed to happen many, many years ago. And so I was sort of like really forced into doing it by my coach. She said, no, it's time to do it, make it happen. And so I did that a few weeks ago and loved it, got great response from it. And also in that newsletter, made sure to let people know that we're offering virtual interior design consultations and what they might look like and what that process looks like. And so we've done 2 so far in the last 30 days, and 1 is coming up next week. So that's super exciting. And what I realized is, right as everything was shutting down and slowing down, people were still closing on homes and just about to make a transition from their old house to a new house and planning on leaving all that old furniture behind. And so they're really kind of stuck in a place, and they still need our services. They need our help, they need our support. And at the end of the day, we are somewhat essential businesses, right? And that's what gave me even more confidence to continue moving forward with offering virtual design consultations and making sure that people know that those are available to them and that they're easy to do and seamless, so to speak. And it'll get them prepared for, you know, what's to come when things do open back up.
Great. Jenna, I want to hear from you, but I have a quick question that just popped up, Erin, for you is what newsletter platform do you use?
MailChimp. It's so super, it's crazy easy. I'd been hearing about how easy it was, but I just was like, I was very resistant. And when I finally went in there and started using it and playing around with it, I love it. And there's so much more in there to learn, but I learned just enough to get out a really cool newsletter.
Oh, that's great, Erin. And we at the Mart actually use that same platform as well. So getting back, Jenna, do you have any tips or anecdotes to share about cultivating new business?
In this time that we're in, I haven't focused so much on cultivating new business as focusing on existing clients, which seems like a smarter move to me. Just checking in with them. I spent a little bit of time this past year working with an amazing business coach, which I highly recommend to everybody. It sounds like Erin's been doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. She has this whole concept called Zone of Genius. And she asked me a question when we first started working together, which was, what are the 3 things that you enjoy most about your job? What are the 3 things that you enjoy most doing in your job? Mm-hmm. And one of those things that I enjoy most doing is spending time with my clients. And she said, I want you to spend 80% of your time doing those 3 things. The rest of the things I don't want you to do. I want you to farm those out. So I spent the last 6 months trying to farm out the rest of that stuff and just focusing on those 3 things. So I've really focused on trying to spend more time with my clients and seizing as many opportunities as I can to be with them. So it's not so much for me as cultivating new business as staying in touch with existing clients. So much of my business is repeat business now, or it's referrals from those existing clients. I'm doing 2nd and 3rd homes for the same clients. So just keeping those relationships strong is really important to me. So
that's great.
I want to add something about, it has, I guess, more to do with what we can be doing to make sure that we are indirectly getting in front of clients so that when they're ready for us, mm-hmm. they remember us. And one of those things would be reaching out to journalists and making sure that we're offering them information that they need to write articles, because those things are still happening in print and online. And to also, I think is a really good thing to maybe connect with other vendors, some of our favorite vendors, and see how we might partner with them to get rooms that feature their products onto their websites, especially if their websites are accessible to the end user. Mm-hmm. So these are all things that help people get things in the pipeline and prepare for that new business.
That's great. So tapping into that vendor and showroom connection, this leads nicely kind of into the next question of how are you working with showrooms and suppliers these days? And do you have an example of Mart showrooms that have really made it easy for you during this time of transition? I
do have an example. I was on Instagram, maybe a week or so ago, and I came across one of my reps, Lenica McCallum, who works with Fabricut S. Harris, and she was presenting her spring collection online, and I was like, oh wow, I miss seeing her. She comes mm-hmm. to my office and presents to me. So I thought, I'm going to reach out to her and see if I can set something up with her. So we set up a Zoom call just like this, and she presented her entire spring line to me, and then within 3 days I had a whole set of new memos for my office. Oh, that's great. So, yeah, it's a little bit different than being, in person and touching and feeling mm-hmm. everything, but I mean, pretty good. I've got all the latest new stuff, and now I have it in my office. I can touch and feel it. And if there's something else I want to get online and get more colors of, I can. So I thought that was great. And she's fantastic. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say that.
I too have had some really great experiences because I have ongoing projects that using Furnish from D, Aurora, Holly Hunt, Bright, and everyone has stayed in touch, via email. It's pretty seamless. Everyone's working from home, but it's the same email and it's easy. We've talked, we've, gotten in touch with delivery people. I think it's actually not that different than then things, we do our initial work in the mart, and we go and look at things, and that's vital to me and to my business. But the after stuff still goes pretty smooth, is, basically done via email. And even if I'm looking for ideas, people are happy to send me, I might give a share that I have in mind, and they send me 15 options. So it's working great.
Great. Erin?
I would say it's been pretty seamless also, because so much of what we're doing is in front of our computer, and we're often working on something in Chicago when we're in LA, or we're working on something, from New York for a project that's in Chicago. And Romo, Kravit, some others, the Shade Store, J. Marshall, we've literally been in contact with them the last few weeks on a specific project, and it's been very easy, very seamless, getting samples, describing to them what I need, a lush emerald green velvet, this is the price point. So it's very much the same as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
now with Materia Bank, I mean, that's a big ask.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
So sourcing has been easy, but I think one question that constantly pops up is online sourcing, in terms of, working back and forth with the manufacturers and the showroom managers, is how do you guarantee color will be correct? And it's certainly hard. Everyone's screens are different, and translates that. So how do you guys kind of work through that?
You don't. I mean,
we're only dealing with vendors who can produce actual samples.
right.
Okay.
In the same way, if it's a physical sample, hard or soft, great, we take it and run with it.
Yeah, I agree. You can't over the computer or over your phone. Like if I take a picture of something with my phone, the colors don't translate.
Yeah.
So, but it's easy to get things. So I would never leave it to a computer visual. I need to see it.
Okay, great. So tell us now, it's a huge partnership, obviously, to complete a project, as it always has been. That hasn't changed. That involves the interior designer, the client, and the showroom to get your products rolling. Is there anything that showrooms can do or that have done to kind of keep these projects moving, go above and beyond?
Communicate. I think communication is key. I think, we want to know what's really happening, as our clients want to know what's really happening. And that's key for us. We have to be honest with them. And so that's what we're looking for is, let's say there's one guy in the warehouse doing everything right now. I need to know that, because, and I understand, I mean, that things are shut down, but we just want to know. We don't want to think otherwise, anything but the truth, because we have to convey that to our clients.
Great. Jenna, did you have a comment on that?
I had just a story that I have, I had just prior to everything getting shut down, I had just dropped off a load of work orders to my workroom. And these were for custom pillows, these were for custom upholstery, and for some reupholstery. And I've been sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, that stuff is just sitting there, and I have to have it done by June, and what am I going to do? And she's shut down. And then I'm starting to think about all her workers that are at home, not making any money. And then I sort of came up with this idea. I reached out to her and I said, you've got all these women that are seamstresses at home, probably at home with their children. I'm sure they all have sewing machines. Why don't we get them some pillow work orders of mine while they're home with their kids? Let them start doing these pillow work orders. And she's like, well, I don't know if I can pay them yet, because I haven't gotten my, she hasn't gotten her, whatever payroll package yet from the government. And I was like, you know what? My clients paid me up front already. I'll pay you up front so that you can pay them. And so we're trying to sort of limp our way through some of this stuff, so that when things open up again, she's not slammed with all this work, and we can kind of keep some of these people working. And these poor, people that are at home stuck with their kids and not making any income can kind of keep going too. So that was just one example.
That's great. That's great. Being flexible and working through, as we know, every day kind of changes and evolves just a little bit in a different direction. So it's great to be flexible. So now switching gears in terms of, we talked about, you know, working with showrooms, and how do we shift, and how are you presenting to clients in a different way? And do you have any tips for, or challenges for, you know, showing products virtually and presenting your boards to your clients? Erin?
I would say that there haven't been too many challenges with that. And so what we've done so far is, when we're doing a paint or color consultation, we make sure the client has a fan deck or fan decks that we're also looking at. If they don't, we send one in advance of the appointment, and we have a general color conversation while looking at paint swatches to talk about whether it's going to be paint or a sofa or drapery or what have you. So that's really simple and kind of cut and dry, so to speak. And then we have more in-depth consultations that involve furniture and furnishings and wall coverings. And so what we've done is received and actually cut and pulled together mood boards, and then sent them or messengered them to the client in advance of the meeting. And one of our IDPA members has done something similar and took it on a whole other level. And you guys have to remind me of everything that Amy did, but she did all that, had it hand delivered in a beautiful packaging, and then also she had a gift in there for them as well, in preparation for them to get set up on Zoom and then have their consultation online. So she made it.
Snacks. She sent snacks.
Snacks, that's right. Bottles.
Oh, lovely. We all need snacks to keep us going.
Yeah.
Branded bottles of water and snacks. Exactly. Along with the mood boards and all the samples and stuff. So, I mean, who can resist that, right? What client needs to leave their house if you're going to send them snacks?
I know. And she said it was a 3.5-hour meeting, and it was very successful. So that was great.
Yes.
Oh, that is great. And are you guys all using Zoom, or are you using a different platform to have your conversations with clients?
Zoom over here. We've been using Zoom for a couple of years now.
Same
Jenna,
here, although in some cases, if people aren't comfortable with it, we've just done FaceTime, and that's worked just as well.
Yes, I've done that too.
Great. Glad it's working. So in terms of switching gears again, kind of to social media, have all three of you have great platforms on social, and have you been changing your tone in light of the times, or changing what you're focused on sharing?
Yeah, I feel like I certainly have been. You know, I've just been sort of leading with a comforting and not fear-based approach about this whole ordeal that we're all in together. No complaining, add some humor. Since we're all in this business of making people's homes beautiful, this is an ideal platform to showcase that. And it's a great.
You shared your home, Nora, right?
I did. So yeah, I'll get to that. So this is a great time for us to demonstrate just exactly what we do. So showcase your own work or work that inspires you. Early on, the first week that we were all staying home, I started a personal home tour of my own home, and it was Instagram and Facebook. And every day I posted a photo of a different room and talked about how we use it, how we're using it now, tried to come up with some funny hashtags, and you know, stress that this is perhaps a once in a lifetime opportunity for all of us to sit back and relax for a minute, some quiet time, and a time to connect with others, a time to read, a time to cook, time to eat, a time to come up with new cocktails, and it's been fun doing all that stuff too. But I think it's really a time that we're forming deeper bonds, and I find that's even happening on Instagram with people. Mm-hmm. People are really commenting more. People are liking it more. And I think this pandemic has also proved that more than ever, your home is your sanctuary. Yeah. And so I think it's very easy and not a salesy way to demonstrate that is exactly what we do.
I would add that from my perspective, we've kept it pretty much the same, continuing to educate, entertain, and inspire. And what I've noticed, because I think a lot of us are watching more TV than usual, I'm particularly focused on commercials, whether it's Papa John's or Lexus. It all is the same exact commercial, except in the very beginning, there's something very empathic about the way they lead into selling you pizza or a car. And I feel like,
together,
yeah, we're in this together, and et cetera, and now let us deliver the car to you. So I feel that we need to just continue moving forward in the same way that we have been, but keeping it creative and empathic along the way, and making sure to stay in our lane though also, and do what we've done before and do it better, so to speak.
So Erin, would you say that staying focused on your brand during this time is important?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it's more important than ever. And I keep reminding myself when I look at the numbers go up with the cases and stuff, that I feel strongly in my heart that this is something that's happening for many of us, not necessarily to us. And what I mean by that is this is an opportunity not to just take a step back and or relax, but it's an opportunity to regroup the way we've been doing our business, or take time to focus more on brand recognition, getting in front of journalists and publications. I set up a photo shoot the other day for late June. Now we have no idea what will happen in late June, but I know that keeping photographs coming in is going to support my brand, right? At the end of the day. And so, and I didn't want to, because I love this photographer, I didn't want to miss an opportunity and call him in June for a June appointment, and he can't see me until October. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get on his books right now. And he was totally down with that. Yeah, so that's how we've been addressing that, or I shouldn't say addressing it. We've just been staying focused on brand. Absolutely. More and more even.
And probably more than usual, just because we've got time to.
Yes, right.
Yeah. So we got a live question, and I want to address it to the group. All three of you, as you guys talked about in your intro, are part of the Interior Design Peer Alliance group, which is a peer group, just that. It's a peer group of interior designers to bounce things off of. And so we got a question about, can any designer join? And they'd love to know a little bit more about how it works. So briefly, if someone wants to talk a little bit more about how you guys set up your peer group and the importance of having a peer group, particularly during this time, that would be great. Anyone want to take that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's the three of us are obviously part of it. There was 11 of us all together. We started it, as Jenna said, 10 years ago, just out of a need to have someone to bounce ideas off of, to share ideas, to ask about your contract, anything. We call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it's invaluable to all of us. And, you know, we're in touch daily for most of the time. And certainly during this time we have been. But we help each other. And the whole premise of it was that nothing is sacred, that we're sharing all of it. And we celebrate each other. We pull each other up when we need it. And we keep it to a small group, like 10 to 12 is our sweet spot. And we actually did a Mart talk a year ago or so about how to create your own. I mean, we encourage you to do that. You know, you need to come up with some rules. Someone needs to chair every meeting. You have to talk about what your goals are. And it does need a certain amount of structure, but I think you have to put into it what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, I would say that this is a premium time to be thinking about all of the designers that you've come in contact with over the years and been kind of passing in the halls of the Mart and other design centers, saying hi and maybe having lunch and learns with, but never had any deep conversations with, but you have their card or their information, or you guys connected. Those are the people that you want to start having initial conversations with about forming a group. Because like Nora said, and I'm sure Jenna will parrot this, our group is so valuable to the individuals in the group and as a whole. We are not just meeting monthly, but like Nora said, we're in contact daily, out of pandemic, in a pandemic, and we plan and go on trips, and we travel together, and we do work trips and pleasure trips together. It's a very cohesive group that is well curated, I would say also. So be careful to select people that you're not just like super chummy with, but that can bring something to the table that others, that you don't. So you want to be kind of picking people that you aspire to be like to be in your group, and make sure that you're not just looking at having a group of people that are at your same level. You want to have a group where you're mentoring some folks, and you want to have people in your group who are further along in their career than you, so you can learn.
Yeah, people you can learn from and people you can teach.
Yes.
Wonderful. So getting back to kind of these crazy times that we're in right now, how are you guys keeping your businesses afloat in terms of, are you applying for any CARES small business loans? If you don't mind answering that, do you, are you diversifying or setting up online packages in terms of your offerings? Any insight into that? Erin, you look like you're ready to jump on that one.
I haven't done it yet, but plan on it. Of course, they said all the money ran out today, which, there's plenty.
I know, I just read that. I was like, oh, great.
There's plenty of money in the world. There's just a circulation issue, right? So they'll find money for the rest of us. So not yet, but plan on doing that. And then, of course, continuing to keep cash flowing by offering virtual consultations and things like that.
It's funny, I have an appointment with my banker this afternoon at 3 o'clock, and so today it runs out, but he already said the list was long, but it's better to put your name in now and see what happens. And
see what happens.
Funny, as far as virtual, Erin has been sort of on the forefront of this in our group, and Amy Kartheiser, who we talked about before, has done it as well. But and I have wanted to, and I've actually created a slot on my website to do it, but just haven't really taken it and gone with it. So last night via Instagram, and I'm going to say perhaps because of this home tour I was doing, I received a message from someone that I don't know, asking, saying she loves my home, she loves my vibe, and would I ever consider, she just bought a condo, and would I ever consider doing a virtual? And I said, yes. So I'm about to dive in feet first. So Erin, I'll be calling you later for some tips.
That's the tribe at work, baby.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. So you guys are talking about adding layers kind of into your business plan. Are there pros and cons of offering online design packages?
I would say one of the cons, I think the pros are all obvious, but one of the cons is asking a client to do a measure of something. And
that could be challenging.
It's not a firm measure, obviously, but it's to get the conversation going so you can start plotting and planning a space, a kitchen even, or a bathroom. So that, and then making sure that they give you really good photographs. We were recently doing a consultation, and I thought I had all the information I needed. And then at the very last minute, I realized I hadn't seen any of the ceilings, and I assumed that they were drywall, and a lot of the ceilings were concrete. And so we had to kind of retrace our steps a little bit. And so it's going to be really important. I have to shift sometimes in my thinking. I wasn't actually in this space. I've only been looking at pictures, so I don't truly know the space. So I actually have to give almost a shot list to the client. Take the picture this way, stand to the left, pan around like a panoramic, take a picture of the floors, take a picture of the ceiling, and give them like really specific instructions. And they love to follow those. They think it's kind of fun. It's a fun activity for them, actually.
Nice.
So,
and are you charging different? Sorry, are you charging differently for any virtual services that you guys are offering, or is it kind of your same standard package and pricing plan?
For me, it's the same standard plan, and because I feel like there's a little bit more work involved, some might think it should cost more, but right now it's the same.
Okay.
I also want to get back to talking about, I know in the beginning, I was sort of resistant to this idea because I felt like I was worried that it could dilute my brand. And, I wasn't interested in doing that. Now I see that the world has shifted, and especially during this time, that's definitely not the case, and it can only be an asset.
And I may become like that, like you, Nora. I am not there yet. Again, going back to my whole thing I've been working on with my business coach, which is spending time with my clients. I'm still focused on that, which is
it would just be via Zoom.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. so I have not branched into that part of the business yet, business model, I should say. But obviously a lot of my tribe has, which I'm very proud of them for. So it's great.
Great. And how have you kept up design collaboration virtually with your overall teams?
I don't think there's been any change at all for any of us.
Okay.
We all have virtual assistants. We have bookkeepers or office managers that help us virtually and have for a while. So none of that has really changed. We actually all discussed this the other day. So I think it's sort of, for us, it's all been business as usual.
Yeah, none of us have big staffs. We all work from home. So it pretty much in the past, everything I've done has been virtually, like my CAD work. I mean, it's not like I never meet with my team, but I would say 85% of the time is done virtually anyway. So there's really not that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Great.
She said.
So obviously we're leveraging technology, probably, even though you have been, you were stepping into the spending more time on technology. And do you guys have any suggestions for any technical training that you guys can take advantage of now, or anything that you're starting to dive into that's a little different?
I would say whenever there's any type of like SEO type training, or Google has a whole educational platform for business owners that is very robust. It has multiple parts, multiple layers. And there is this Google Digital Coaches program that's national. And if anybody wants to tap into that, I highly recommend it. They are constantly teaching and reteaching, like Google 101, et cetera, Google for your business, and how to use YouTube. So when it comes to social media on the technical side, there's lots of options there. I would say all the Studio IT, Ivy, and Wakora, which is what we use, Wakora and Studio IT. I am taking those courses and or tutorials whenever I have time. And then I rely heavily on my coach. I mean, my coaching relationship is multi-layered. And so I think of the technical aspects of interior design as being 360 degrees. I mean, all of it's technique, right? Whether I'm engaging in developing new business or I'm trying to figure out how to lay out a kitchen. So
I have historically been using Studio IT or Studio Webware as well. And I got changed. I was one of that first group that got bumped up to the 2.0 version, which I've had some serious issues with. So just in January, I have moved my whole platform in my office over to an organization called Designers Advantage, which I don't know if any of you are familiar with, but they handle, it's basically a very similar platform to Studio Webware. You enter your item into their platform, just like you would Studio Webware. And it's a whole entire bookkeeping ordering system. They actually place the orders for me. So again, that's something that was taken off my plate so that I could spend more time with my clients. They follow through with the orders, expediting everything. And they also do the bookkeeping and pay my sales tax and everything. I think there are like 3 or 4 other designers in Chicago that are using them. It's called Designers Advantage, and they're out of Boston. It's been fantastic for me. There's also another designer, Amy, in our peer group who's using them, and it's really freed up a lot of time for me. So great. I highly recommend them. I also highly recommend a coach, as Erin does.
Nora, what are the software programs that you use to run your business?
You know, mine are pretty much the same as them. I don't really feel like I have anything to add to that.
Okay, great. So how do you guys run your business with right now while you're home? You say you guys already kind of work from home kind of before the times changed, but obviously there's more distractions. There's family members home. There's pets and friends and noise outside, noise from neighbors maybe. So How are you guys managing?
Just very carefully, you know, it's important to set some boundaries. It's important to keep your sense of humor intact. I suggest wearing headphones sometimes. Actually, for this, I actually kicked my husband out of the house today because I just felt like it would be too much of a distraction. He always says, okay, I'm going to be quiet, like if I'm on with a client. But, you know, it's just distracting. So you have to figure it out as you go along. And yeah, blips happen and it's okay. Keep your sense of humor intact.
I had to do the same thing. I had to kick my teenage daughter who's doing online school out of the house today. So she's over at her dad's house today. I also have dogs at home, so it's always a little bit chaos here. I would say one of my biggest recommendations is have a space in your home that is truly designated for work, that you can close off at the end of the day. Huge thing. So you don't find yourself working 24/7, which sometimes I do. And the other thing I think is really important during this time is have something set up like this that's a permanent sort of Zoom setup. You know, like it's ready to go. If you need to sit down and have a conversation with a client or a meeting of some sort, you know that what's behind you is going to look good and you're ready to go. I think that's helpful.
I feel like Zoom has become our national pastime.
I know.
The sports, we're just Zooming.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love what Jenna said about creating a Zoom room, because getting prepared for this webinar today was a matter of like blocking some of the light at the windows with paper and like diffusing light. And all of us had to do these, like create these tricks in our space. And so it's like, oh, I need to leave this in place now. But it's in my it's in the general sort of living space. And I don't have pets or a husband or children. So I'm surrounded by memos and samples and tear sheets. And my safe zone right now is my bedroom. So that is where I can get still and be quiet. It's where I do my meditation. And it's the place that has been carved out for nothing work related. There's no TV, radio, no music, no phone, no computer happening in that space. So that's how I'm able to like separate the two while my entire world is existing in one space.
Wonderful. Well, one question that I'm getting repeatedly here on the live feed is how you guys chose your business coaches, and are they coaches that work specifically with interior designers? Do they work with individuals from all professions, and how would you recommend someone getting connected with a business coach?
That's such a good question.
I found mine through, actually, she presented at the Mart in a Business of Design event. Her name's Melissa Galt, and she actually has a Facebook presence, so I'm sure you can find her on there. She's fantastic, and she does only work with interior designers.
Wonderful.
Same here. Met Terry Taylor at a Business of Design event about 2 years ago in 2018, and just was immediately connected to her and was surprised that there was someone teaching in the way she was from a perspective that she was, and it resonated with me. So I immediately started taking small courses, free things, inexpensive things, affordable things, and then last November, when I went for the annual retreat in Arizona, one of her coaching team members in my private session with them was like, okay, so you know what your next step is. And I was like, oh, so I'm going to go and take another class and I'll see you in a couple of weeks. And she was like, no, it's time for you to like, you know, put on your big girl pants. So that's when I said, okay, I'm going into this year-long program as of last December. And I haven't looked back. It's been amazing. And Terry Taylor is an interior designer herself, and she works only with interior design professionals. She is amazing.
Wonderful. And thank you for the Business of Design shout outs too as well. Yeah. We love offering those programs ongoing. So
fun going to them.
Yeah. And another question we have here is, do you guys each use a PR agent?
No.
No, but I need one. Somebody give me one.
All right, so if you have any recommendations, attendees, please type them in the Q&A and we can share them with our panelists here. So do you guys all manage your own social media then?
Yeah.
I do. I did for a period of time have someone doing it for me, and I struggled with how my voice sounded when they were writing the copy. And so I switched back to taking care of it myself, which means that I don't do it very often or with any sort of consistency. But when I do it, I enjoy it.
And I would say the same. I think all of us are getting constantly bombarded with people that want to do it for us. And I would worry about, I want it to be in my voice. Only I know, what's important to me, and only I can speak that. And frankly, it's a creative outlet. I love doing it. It's fun. It's just another creative outlet. And it some people are reluctant. They think it takes a lot of time and bandwidth, and it really doesn't. It's just an image, a carefully chosen image, and a couple of glib comments, and you're done. And also, it's kind of fun making up hashtags.
Always, yeah. I want to add that I learned some time ago that it's probably not a good idea to post work of other interior designers, but when you're struggling to pull an image together for a post, a couple of things you can do is post images that are aligned with the work that you do. So some other luxury brand, maybe it's fashion and beauty or whatever you might be into, or in my case, it's fine art. A lot of times I like to feature artists. In addition to that, I would say that it's going to be really helpful. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I'll let you get back to it and I'll come back to it if I remember.
Okay.
So in terms of posting on social, then do you guys feel that you guys offer enough on social in terms of your posting, and also in terms of getting published and communication with publications? I think it was Erin that mentioned earlier about calling publications and reminding them about the jobs that you have. Do you feel like you can manage that enough on your own, and you don't need that extra support then from a PR agency?
Well, I think it would be a good idea to have it. Our design community is pretty tight, and so I feel like most of us know the players with the publications, and hopefully have good relationships with them. So I do feel comfortable if the need arises that I would call or email and say, hey, I've got this exciting thing. But that being said, do I think it would be an asset to have someone doing that for me? Absolutely.
Yes, I totally agree.
I do too.
Yeah, what I was saying earlier, Beth, about the publications. So what I was intending to say is that it's really helpful to the writers and the journalists when we reach out to them with ideas and stories, because they're always looking for things to write about. And so it's not necessarily you're trying to get your work published, but you want that. But in addition to those big moments of getting work and projects published, there's all these little things that build up to that. Articles, blurbs, etc., features here and there that journalists are just trying to keep their pipeline full of interesting ideas. And
content is king. Everyone's looking for content.
Ideas. Say that again?
Everyone's looking for content, and so
that's the word.
If you have a nugget that you could share with anyone, you just don't put it on yours. Maybe reach out, like you say, to someone where it could reach a bigger audience.
And if you don't know anybody, this is a good time to start developing a list of journalists who you like the way they write, you like what they feature. This is just, I think this is a great time to get our back of house stuff straight.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Good point, good point. So what projects are you guys working on now? Anything exciting in the pipeline that you can share?
I have, I'm in the middle of working on a whole house renovation here in the city. And it started out, not being necessarily a whole house renovation. It was a partial house renovation. And once the pandemic hit, the family decided to move to, they had a second home in another state. So they moved to that home. And the GC and I decided to take advantage of this and say, hey, while you're gone, why don't we take advantage of you being gone? And you were talking about maybe doing these other 2 bathrooms and these other 2 bedrooms. Why don't we do them now while you're gone? So I've tried to drum up some business for myself and him, the GC, you know, while you know, this thing is going on and we're sitting around. And luckily, Illinois is still a construction is essential business state. Thank goodness.
Right. So a couple of things. There are projects that are ongoing. And so I've been really excited. What's exciting to me about the ongoing projects is that we've been able to continue serving the client in a really unique way. You know, we've got one guy over here doing this work, and when he's done there, then you guys can switch and he can come over here, when normally they would be doing the work as the work flows. So that's been kind of fun, like matching one person to a house or a space in a house and telling him, don't leave this floor until we know the guy on the second floor is done with his work. And everybody's willing to wear masks and things like that. So I think that part of adjustment has been somewhat interesting and exciting, how we're able to just go with the flow. But I want to add that recently I called a client, not a client, but a contact, a friend, who's part of a large charity here in Chicago, to talk to her about an event that I wanted to put together that would basically fund and bring donations into their charity. And in the conversation, she mentioned, oh, we know we are in Arizona now, and we bought this second home, and I want to talk about this charity idea of yours, and it sounds really cool, but I also need you to design the house. And so I was like, oh, that's incredibly exciting. And I think it's a testament to how important it is for us to keep in constant contact with people, whether it's via a newsletter or a phone call, to really check in on them, see how they're doing. And it almost always is going to turn its way back to interior design, because they're on the phone with an interior designer. So they're either going to ask you how you're doing in your business, or they're going to say, you know, I do have this thing that's happening and I need your help. And that's exactly what happened, and completely unexpectedly. So that's exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you ladies seem to be managing very well. So congratulations on that. But obviously there's stress kind of in this change of time. So how are you remaining positive and managing through the stress of these times?
Oh my goodness. You know, I would say I'm an optimist by nature, but this Corona crazy has tested that for sure. I turn to my yoga practice, meditation. I've been reading a lot. I've been doing some self-reflection. And really the most important thing that has been helping me is I feel way more connected with people that I love. People are staying in touch. I feel like half of my day is on the phone lately. And I have spoken to people, you know, the usuals, but way more often. And then the group has broadened. And I have to say that is really gone a long way in keeping me sane. You know, our peer group that we've been talking about, we're in constant contact. Also, I'm happy to be part of a couple other design groups that are offering ideas and words of encouragement. And I sort of feel like the love and kindness and ideas are just off the charts right now. It's helping me a lot.
There's a saying that I came across earlier on in my life, and it is that which is right is unfolding. And I really honor that, or I think about that all the time when times get a little crazy for me. And I just know that whatever is presented to me, I need to embrace, especially the times that are very uncomfortable. And I feel like we just have to accept things. We have to learn how to cope, and we have to make the best of them. And I would say it's a journey. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. And nobody's better at being you than you.
Especially in a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, ladies. We're going to wrap up here, but I just want each of you to think about one word that kind of gives you hope, just kind of in a quick closing here. So one word that gives you hope and that keeps you staying positive. Nora, I'll start with you.
You know, going back to what I just talked about, I would have to say connection is my word. I feel the connectedness that I've been experiencing has definitely been keeping me going, and I appreciate it.
Wonderful. Jenna?
My word is most certainly gratitude. Had a lot of stuff go on in my life the last couple years, and I am incredibly grateful for where I am right now in my life.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Erin?
Something that gives me hope is my vision boards. I know that's 2 words, but vision board.
Vision board. All right, we'll take it. We'll let this one slide with 2 words. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for your time and honesty and ability to just kind of open up and share with the greater group here. And your time today is really appreciated. So thank you very much. Thank you to the attendees for posing some questions and for sticking around and listening to us. We have a lot of great events and webinars coming through the next couple weeks. So definitely check out designcenter.com and keep checking back on our events tab for more information. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you all soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth.